Parasites by Marcia Ramalho. November 16, 2017. Parasites. Those who destroyed our ecosystems to mine our riches. That turned mountains of waste into volcanoes. Ancient cities in Africa with sand and named it Sahara. That swept the cities of Greenland, Siberia, the Far East, and Alaska from the map and destroyed the civilization of Great Tartaria. That annihilated millions in Africa with bombs, creating a crater called Victoria, non-existent in ancient maps. Crater turned into a lake, discovered and named in 1858 in honor of Queen Victoria of England. Parasites who buried the Church of St. George and others in Lalibela, Ethiopia, and invented that they had been carved into stone. In soft volcanic rock. Who set up a Disneyland in Pompeii, Petra, Stonehenge in Egypt to sell tourists a non-existent remote past. Who invented Hellenism, ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Who destroyed the earth and accused us of being responsible for the false global warming. Those who want to block the sun's ultraviolet rays so that we die faster, and idea of the British, read today in the newspapers. British people. Those who committed the most atrocious crimes against humanity. Those whose new defense minister has a live tarantula on his desk to intimidate. Microbes are micro-robots, biological robots in permanent war against humans. To combat them, there are the sun and the bacteriophages. Discovered in 1915, bacteriophages are completely harmless viruses, that constantly protect plants, lakes, rivers and oceans. They attack bacteria with their DNA, puncture their cell walls and shut down all mechanisms that create viruses. The bacteria ceases to eat and multiply. Without the bacteriophage, the bacteria would reproduce at frightening speed. Destroy it all. Bacteria devour anything, including ships, stone, metal, wood, plants, fruits, animals, and humans. Treacherous, they lodge in the center and corrode the interior. Invisible. When you realize the tissues no longer have life. It is possible that our ancestors were attacked with biological weapons and have developed bacteriophages as a defense to protect the breed. They lived in Hyperborea and were almost immortal, remember? But they were invaded. Before disappearing, they created an army to protect nature and humans. They have left us bacteriophages, self-taught machines that have the strange appearance of little soldiers and are in constant training to perfect fighting methods. Bio-friendly robots, perfectly taught for combat. Present to billions in wells, springs and raw water. Raw, cold, holy water. Water that can cure serious illness, infections, inflammation. For over 90 years Russia has been using bacteriophages as an alternative to antibiotics in gangrenous tissues, osteomyelitis, wound infections, and tissue damage from mine explosions. Russians have developed spray which can be used during combat. It stops the infection and kills the bacteria. Russian hospitals are the only ones in the world that prepare personalized phage cocktails, and they are sold in pharmacy. But you still have other allies, like plasma and safe high electrical voltages, laser beams, ultraviolet ray treatments, ultrasound. But none of this will be within your reach in the West if you are not a parasite. Parasites work to make you always a loser and seek healing in the dubious contents of medicine boxes that only combat symptoms, which often cause side effects, so that the giants of the sector continue with their astronomical profits. Our ancestors knew about the healing powers of the sun, and they revered Odin, god of healing and knowledge. But we were compelled to forget this and other teachings when our Earth was invaded, our civilization destroyed, and our history erased to be exchanged for fantasies and 1300 years that never existed. And you forgot that the sun is fundamental to life, which ultraviolet rays are a source of vitamin D that, contrary to what you learned, the best time to sunbathe is from noon to 3 in the afternoon. That 20 minutes of exposure is required every day. That ultraviolet rays are capable of healing cancer cells. That our body is a precise machine that works with a lot of water to allow the passage of electric current between cells, electrolysis, and to ensure the perfect functioning of mitochondria. That the pH of our body must be kept at high alkaline levels. that the enemy is in the air, crawls on the ground, fruits in the water and multiplies within you. It feeds on acidic environments such as carbohydrates and sugar. His name is cosmic mildew, mycelium mold-causing fungi, rust and all diseases. Bacteria, microbes, beings who like the dark and who benefit from dust, cloudy days and high humidity. Trees were immortal until the enemy arrived. Time did not destroy them, because it is not old age that kills trees or humans. It is the corrosion caused by bacteria. If you leave a nail exposed to the weather, it will be rusty in some summers. If you let it soak in oil, it will look like a nail from the factory in 1,000 years. Rusty and old means eroded by fungi. Corrosive fungi destroyed the legacy of our ancestors, leaving it unrecognizable. Who would have colonized bacteria to destroy our planet? Enemies of the human race, of course. Those who plunder us, who stole our lands, who make all wars, who devalue our currency, who tell lies and fake humanity. That confined us to cities where slaughter is simpler. Where it is enough to cut the light so that many human contingents die like flies because they no longer know how to extract the necessary livelihoods from nature. In order to combat the warming of the oceans that would be causing global warming, scientists want to block the sun and suspend ultraviolet solar radiation. Unleash nuclear winter so that the seas can be cooled. How to do this? Saturating the upper layers of the atmosphere with a special sulfur dioxide-based aerosol that will trap the sun's rays like a mirror. Returning them to space and preventing them from reaching Earth to give us life and promote healing. The announcement projects the measures for a vague near future. But everything that has been heralded as the future has long been secretly executed. Like Dolly the sheep, appearing in the headlines in 1996 as the first animal reproduced in the lab, it left no doubt that humans were already cloned. A sheep? Because sheep represent the bovine humanity. Humanity equals herd that goes sweetly to where it is sent. Vitamin D contained in the sun's ultraviolet rays is a free and effective weapon. Their absence explains the increasing occurrence of pathologies and the significant increase in the number of pharmacies. But they will tell you that you need to use sunscreen even to look at the window. And you will believe it. Philip K. Dick's Tale's second variety gave rise to the movie Screamer's Cyber Assassins and tells the story that is ours. A planet rich in precious metals turned into gigantic interplanetary corporation extraction mine that unleashes nuclear devastation when humans rebel. To exterminate them, the corporation creates an army of lethal machines with artificial intelligence. The machines are treacherous, move underground, gradually perfect their initial design and acquire perfect human appearance. They are now in the next apartment and on every corner. Or gesture on your TV. Who are the enemies of the immortal human race? Those that spread viruses and pathogens in the biosphere through chemtrails. That entertain us with lies 24 hours. Who watch us all the time to perfect combat methods. They collect genetic material to feed robots that will transform humanity into perfect slave machines. In metallic humanoids without identity, without reproductive capacity. Without life. Without soul. Sterile. Docile. Unable to feel and think. Powered by GMO. Living in a disillusioned amorphous plastic universe. Synthetic. Condemned to eternal suffering, without the rest and immortality acquired after death. Machines that do not need the sun. Things that will never know God. Sacred water in silver pots. And noon sun. Do not forget.